metaphysically neutral. It makes no statement for or against the existence of God. Science is only concerned with theory building in terms of its ability to generate hypotheses, predictions that can be empirically tested. So, in summary, theory of evolution has withstood about 150 years of experimentation. Yes, there are details yet to explore. Is this going to be overturned anytime soon? I don't think so. Theological responses to evolution within the Christian community are varied. They vary in their acceptance. And even within theistic evolution, there's quite a bit of variation. We haven't gone into the details, but they're there, and I can point you at sources if you'd like. All right. In summary, briefly, it's been exactly 400 years since Galileo used simple telescope to look at the heavens. He would have used lenses sort of such like this, just based on the technology at the time. One of the first things he saw when he looked at the heavens was that Venus had phases, the planet. It looked like a moon. It had phases. That didn't work well within a geocentric model, but it worked very well within a heliocentric model. And you know the story, how that goes on from there. What he saw didn't fit well with theology, but he remained convinced that God was author of all, creator of all, and that studying his creation was an act of worship, despite the fact that he was imprisoned by the church until the end of his life and forced to recant his ideas. 400 years on, we don't worry about heliocentrism anymore, but we're only 150 years after Darwin. Yet, many scientists of faith continue that tradition of academic excellence. And if there's one issue that I have with this discussion within the Christian community, now I'm going to go from preaching and go to meddling, right? As they say. The Christian community comes from a tradition of excellence in science. Think about Newton. Think about Galileo. Think about Kepler. All these individuals who, with an understanding that they were studying God's creation and exploring his world, made these great discoveries. Do you think that they would have, for a moment, gone into these pseudoscientific kind of ideas? I don't think so. Christian community has a tradition of excellence in the sciences. I think we've been squandering that opportunity lately. Although some, like Collins and others, continue that tradition. However, the church has not recognized what they're doing or appreciated what they're doing. And I'm hoping that it's not going to take another 250 years before that's the case. And like the discussion we were just having about what do we do with this information, part of how that changes, should you wish it to change, and I'm not specifying that you should, now I'm sort of letting my own colors show, as it were. Should you wish it to change, I ask that you prayerfully consider what you should do with this information and ask God in terms of what he would have you do with it. Because God's not scared of evolution. How could he be if, in fact, evolutionary biology is true in a scientific theory-building sense? Well, then God was behind it from the beginning. So it's not like God's going to be scared of what you find in nature. And the Christian church shouldn't be scared of it either. It's an opportunity for worship as much as it was for Galileo to look at the phases of Venus. Looking into the genome, looking into the fossil record is an opportunity for worship now. I'll leave off with the final quote. We'll let Darwin have the last word. Darwin, at the time he wrote The Origin of Species, was a theistic evolutionist. He later on went on to agnosticism. But at the time he wrote The Origin, he wrote it from a theistic perspective. He said there's grandeur in this view of life, with its several powers having been breathed by the Creator into a few forms, or into one, and that while this planet has gone on cycling according to the fixed law of gravity, and that's a reference to Newton, from so simple a beginning, endless forms most beautiful and wonderful have been and are being evolved. So those that can stay will allow for questions. And if not, we'll see you next class. Yeah, and I will be posting the practice midterm shortly for you. Yeah. Questions or comments for those that can stay? If not, I can provide a little bit of time at the beginning of next, well, not at next class, but next class after next to discuss it. Yeah. Okay.
So that makes everything from the end. It's not including everything that was in the first one, right?
It's still cumulative, but it focuses on what's been